Bear with me. Bear with me. All right. Thank you for your patience. So, more objectives. We will learn insight into the signs and symptoms of mental illness. We will learn basic crisis and de-escalation intervention techniques. We'll also gain tools for self-care and emotional health management and utilize knowledge gained from this course to promote mental health awareness and the power of sharing your story. What is mental health? Mental health involves our biological, emotional, psychological, social, and spiritual well being. It impacts how we think, feel, and behave. Mental health determines how we cope, manage, and navigate the stresses of life, relate to others and the world, and how we make our decisions. Did you know that depression is the number one disability in the world? That comes from the WHO organization. And there are three times, and since the pandemic, this curriculum was produced before the pandemic. The numbers have quadrupled since the pandemic. So it says here that there are three times more people with mental illness in jails and in prisons than in hospitals, and that's from the U.S. Department of Justice. But those numbers have increased. Over 90% of people who die by suicide had one or more mental health conditions. Now, I want to show you a video into the life of someone with schizophrenia. I am getting the video for you. I'm going to stop sharing. What I have to do now is stop sharing the slideshow and share the video. So seeing that lets you see that mental illness, it does not, it is not the person. It is an illness of the individual. And that is why it was so important to share that with you so that you can see just as many people think that's connected to the stigma, right? Um, that a schizophrenic person may be dangerous or this, that, or whatever their mindset is around it. But when you become educated, you learn that we are not the mental illness. It is a part of us, but that is not who we are. So just wanted to share that with you. Any questions so far? All right. So mental illness is defined. Mental illnesses are medical conditions that disrupt our thinking, our mood, our behavior, daily functioning, relationships, long-term success, developmental milestones, ability to learn, your memory, school, work attendance, and physical health. And we cannot leave out our relationships. Those are the first to go. And as we saw in that video with the man and his wife, he talked about support. And for me personally, and I know for many people that I have, my partners or people that I serve, support is vital to recovery, whether it's recovery from substances or recovery with mental health and mental illness. Having a strong support system is very critical to recovery and healing. Why? Because we need others to help us push through. Say, for instance, during COVID, right? Um, the patients couldn't have visitors. And because the patients couldn't have visitors, many of them dwindled away. We will never know exactly what happened in the rooms, but we couldn't get to see them. But many people lost their loved ones, and many of the loved ones, and I learned this personally when my brother passed. He didn't pass from COVID, but not having someone up there to push you through, to give you hope, to put faith in you, to give you encouraging words, to let you know that you're not alone. You can make it. I'm here with you. And that's so important when someone is recovering um, in every aspect. So here's some common and persistent mental illnesses. There's anxiety disorders, major depression, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, autism spectrum disorder, borderline personality disorder, eating disorders. You have ADHD, OCD, and then we have PTSD. So how do we recognize mental illnesses? Can I get some of the some of you and some of my peers to help me read some of these pages? And for this one, I would love if someone can read signs and then someone reads symptoms. So for signs, what you observe as a problem, excessive crying. And then symptoms, what the person reports as a problem, feeling hopeless. So kind of going back and forth. Can I get someone to, two people to read that?
I'll read one.
Okay.
I'll read the other.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, so you want me to start with signs?
Yes, ma'am. Please.
All right, signs. What you observe as a problem. First one being excessive crying. You want me to go all the way down or
Symptoms.
just go back and forth?
Go back and
Okay.
forth. The gentleman do
Right.
symptoms.
All right. Symptoms. What the person reports as a problem. Feeling hopeless.
And signs.
Sign. Wearing layers of clothing in the summer.
Racing thoughts.
Seeing or talking to people who are not there.
Trouble concentrating.
Poor hygiene and grooming habits.
Feeling down or depressed.
Body tremors.
Hearing voices.
Intense mood swings.
Seeing things.
Appear giddy or hyperactive.
Irritability.
Impaired speech.
Changes in eating, sleeping habits.
Changes in movement.
Loss of energy.
Slow speech.
Feeling nervous.
Thank you. Thank you. And these are not linear to one another, but these are just the signs, some of the signs and some of the symptoms. Thank you both. Thank you. Thank you. Here's some suicide data and statistics. Over 90 people who died by suicide had one or mental health illness, one or more mental health conditions. There are over 47,000 completed suicides per year in the United States, and this was in 2017. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death nationally, second for college students, second for ages 15 through 24. Every 11 minutes, someone completes suicide, and every 32 seconds, someone attempts suicide. 129 suicides are completed every day. Again, this number has increased. 80 to 90% of all suicides, the person told someone of their intent prior to taking their life. And that's called a red flag. I want to kind of elaborate on that. When someone is intending to take their lives, they may give away their clothes, they may even say it. They will begin to act the total difference of the way they usually act. And for us as a person, we really have to pay attention to that, because sometimes somebody would think that, hey, they're just trying to get attention, or they're just talking. Oh, they say that all the time. No, believe them, even if they keep saying it. Believe them. Believe them. That last bullet, over 6,200 young people ages 15 to 24 die by suicide each year. One suicide every 2 hours, and that says in 2017. Again, with the fentanyl and with all of the different substances and the new drugs and how they're cutting the drugs now, all of these numbers have increased. And then not to mention that the the World Health Organization, CDC, they are not really giving the true numbers, which is, which will blow your mind. They're not really giving the true numbers to suicides that's going on in communities and around the world, such as Georgia. Georgia has a high number of suicides as well. So just want to share that with you. We have to really do our research to really find out how many suicides are completed in different areas of the world. Risk and protective factors of suicide. Can I get somebody to do risk factors and protective factors, please?
I'll do it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. For the risk factors, there has to be a history of mental health conditions, isolation, especially in youth, losses, relationships for job, health, and home, stressful life events, experienced or witnessed trauma, which is abuse, neglect, war, etc., alcohol and or substance abuse, access to lethal means, especially firearms, past suicide attempts, sexual identity conflict, co-occurring disorders, spiritual religiosity, or I don't need medication, God will heal me.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Can someone do protective factors?
I can do it.
Thank you.
Protective factors, access to medical, mental health, and substance abuse services, healthy support from family and friends, healthy activities, school and or community connectedness. Number one, prevention / protective factors for suicide prevention is teens. And in teens is connectedness and relationship to an adult, spirituality and religiosity, thankfulness, something changes on the inside, generosity / service, it promotes a sense of purpose, and resilience, which is problem-solving skills, conflict resolution, etc.
Thank you. And the warning signs, not 9 out of 10 people give a warning sign, verbal or nonverbal. So again, take all signs seriously. Here's just a few warning signs talking about dying by suicide, giving away their things they've attempted before. They have had some recent losses, whether it was a divorce, whether it was death, whether it was a job loss, a child loss, home loss, vehicle loss, some type of loss, trouble eating or sleeping, drastic changes in the behavior, withdrawals from friends and social activities, loses interest in hobbies, work, schooling, etc., increased use of alcohol or drugs, sudden happiness after a prolonged depression, preoccupation with death and dying, self-harming behaviors such as cutting, self-inflicted cigarette burns, etc., loses interest in personal appearance and grooming. That's really a big one, a big red flag. When you see someone appearance change drastically, that is a huge red flag. Prepares for death by making out a will and final arrangements. Sudden interest or disinterest in religion, unexplained anger, aggression, and irritability in acquiring a gun or stockpiling guns. So now, when is a crisis intervention needed? When the person can't see his or way out, the person cannot commit to not harming themselves, and then also giving them a contract for life. The person has a plan, the person has access to means, has a history of attempts. And if your discernment, which is your gut, tells you that the person isn't safe, please act on it to get that person help. So the on-scene crisis intervention. one, self-management. We will engage with empathy. So if this is just in case you are on a scene of a crisis and you intervene. So we have to go in with empathy, building rapport, making sure the scene is safe, right? Assessing for medical needs and managing people at the scene, always assessing, always assessing, always assessing. Assessing that person, their mental state, making sure that the person is not in a dangerous frenzy, assessing the risk of suicide, and assessing for transportation needs to emergency facilities. So when you are assessing, you do it just as these are stating, but at the same time, very, very mindful of how you approach, of your tone of voice, as well as always assessing the scene for danger. And then also dialing 911. When you dial 911, this is something for you to write down. I trained several counties in Atlanta, the police departments in Atlanta several years ago on crisis intervention training. And that is showing them and teaching them the importance of how to go in to a mental health situation in a crisis intervention situation and intervene by de-escalating without harming us. So it was very, very intriguing to see that many officers did not know. So when there's an issue, when you have an issue, when you dial 911 or crisis, you ask for a crisis intervention trained officer or a CIT trained officer, not a regular officer, for a crisis, mental health crisis, but a CIT officer. That way they will know what to do on the scene. So the overview of crisis and de-escalation intervention techniques. So a crisis is a crucial or decisive point, traumatic change in a person's life. Any situation in which a person's perceived ability to cope is exceeded and what is deemed a crisis by the person may not be interpreted as such by others. So there are 6 different factors that can arise from a crisis. So the escalated person is in the blue, and then we have mental illness, we have the perceptions, we have medical condition, situational stress, we have triggers, substance abuse. So all of these can contribute to to escalating that person that has that mental health diagnosis. So I'm just going to read a few for the adolescents and then the adults. So for adolescents, there may be parental conflict, divorce, school issues, health issues, bullying, negative encounter with law enforcement. Their mental health is deteriorating, and also, spirituality dilemmas. And for us as adults, relational issues, family crisis, health crisis, again, negative encounter with law enforcement. There's financial issues, parent aging, and then you are caregiving to your parents and are burnt out. And then again, too, for us as well, religious and spiritual dilemmas. So here's a de-escalation chart. So de-escalation resolves a crisis through problem solving rather than by force. And it helps to reestablish the equilibrium and safety. So what can we do? So on the left, we see that high blue line, which is the person that is in a crisis. And us, we are to be on the low and even keel. The person with the crisis, they are in a high strung and in a, just think of yourself in a crisis. You would not be normal. You would be really high strung. So we, as a person that's coming in to help someone, we have to be aware of our own feelings. We have to be aware of our emotions. We have to maintain a voice of our tone is very critical, speaking in a soft tone to that individual in our posture, as well as not irritating them even more by saying or doing things to make them react. So it's so important for us to be aware of our own feelings and emotions and triggers as we go into a crisis situation, because that will result in you successfully de-escalating that crisis. So here's some wellness and self-care. Compassion fatigue. This is from Dr. Charles Figley, a professor at Paul Henry Curtis. He says compassion fatigue is a state experienced by those helping people or animals in distress. It is an extreme state of tension and preoccupation with suffering of those being helped to the degree that it can create a secondary traumatic stress for the helper, for the helper, for their helper. COVID-19, the nurses, the doctors, the professionals, the medical professionals, the team, the people that were taking their lives, the nurses, the doctors, compassion fatigue, seeing so much death, being around so much death, not understanding compassion fatigue. So how do we recognize some of those signs and symptoms of compassion fatigue? Can I get someone to read those bullets, please?
Recognize the signs and symptoms of compassion fatigue: bottled up emotions, chronic physical ailments such as gastrointestinal problems and recurrent colds, apathy, sad, no longer finds activities pleasurable, isolation from others, poor self-care, i.e. hygiene or appearance, mentally and physically tired, substance abuse used to mask feelings, excessive blaming, receives unusual amount of complaints from others, voices excessive complaints about administrative functions, compulsive behavior such as overspending, overeating, gambling, sexual addictions, legal problems, indebtedness, reoccurrence of nightmares and flashbacks to traumatic event, difficulty concentrating.
Thank you. So how do we promote self-care and mental wellness? Be kind to ourselves. Take positive actions to change. Establish your personal boundaries. What works for you may not work for someone else. Understand that those closest to you may not be able to understand and provide the relief you need. That's why, for me personally, my help has come, some of it has come from inside of my family, but the majority of it has come from the outside because my family doesn't really understand, especially those that not really mentally, that understands mental illness, right? Even though we had a brother to pass from suicide. So again, that support, having a healthy support system, I can not say that enough, is so valuable to healing and recovery. Some other self-care is identifying your strength, healthy activities, getting plenty of rest, sleeping, having good eating habits, having a safe way to vent. For me, it's therapy. For me, it can be Laurel. It can be people where I am on contract with my business partners. But a safe place and safe way to vent for me is through my therapist. Strong social support outside of work. Checking your mental health vital signs. Laughter, 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 laughter is good for the soul, right? Thankfulness, it can rewire your brain. And then creating a WHAM, a whole health action management plan. Hope, hope says it may not be happening now, but it will happen. I will wait until there is a way out, and that is by my business partner and board member, and he's actually the one that put this curriculum together, Dr. Maurice Cassell, behavioral health specialist and therapist. The power of sharing your story. So when we experience a mental health crisis, it's imperative to share our story. Sharing our journey with others will allow them to see and understand they're not alone in the struggle. There is hope. There's so many others that so many others grasp in order to live a life of resiliency, which will result in destigmatizing the myths attached to mental illness and suicide prevention. People seeking medical attention as needed, as well as understanding we all struggle and we can be the hope for those that are hopeless. Your story matters and you matter. So part of my, I'll share with you a bit of my story. I'm actually from Gary, Indiana. I've been here in Atlanta for 10 years. I came here through State Farm. I was promoted to manager with State Farm, the new hubs that they created some years ago. So I was transferred here in Atlanta, myself and my family. Since then, my brother, which U.S. Army decorated veteran, passed by suicide. I sent for him to come here thinking that we could get him the help that he needed because there's more resources here than in Indiana. That didn't happen. Because of his death, all that I dealt with is, going to the scene and just everything around his death. And mind you, there's five of us. There was five of us. So it was my older brother, which passed last year. I have a sister. She has MS. Um, and I have this brother that passed. And there's another brother, 5 or 6 years older than me. And then there's me. So I'm the baby. And I'm the baby because my mother waited until her older years to have me. So my older siblings call me the baby sister. So now it's just myself, my sister, and one brother, which is kind of hard to grasp, but I'm still grateful that they are still here. Um, After his suicide, I had gotten a call. My ex-husband now, which was my husband back then, um, I had gotten a call. We had just gotten back to Atlanta from our class reunions in Indiana, and I got a call, anonymous female, stating, "You need to call the medical examiner. Your brother is in trouble or needs some help." And I'm like, "Oh wow!" And I still to this day don't know who that person was because they didn't give me their name. So we began to call, just searching DCAB medical examiner, just continue to search on our phones. Finally, my ex said, "Here, try this number," and I'm going to run the cleaners. And I called the number. It was the medical examiner. Mind you, I never knew what a medical examiner was. I thought it was the doctor. I thought it was some medical facility where I can reach my brother and get him help. And I was just saying, Lord, let me get to where my brother is to get him help. Um, when she picked up the phone, she said medical examiner's office. I had to, of course, I was the next of kin, and she did. Um, she did let me know that he had passed by self-inflicted gunshot, which tore me apart. Um, he had been suicidal before. He fought in Operation Desert Storm. And when he came back home, my mother said that he was never the same. My brother used to tell me that when he was in combat, he would have to kill children or he would be killed. The children were strapped with rifles, these big rifles that are bigger than them. It was either he killed them or he be killed. So killing children. He told me, and he would cry and tell me these things. He would have me crying. He would tell me that he would they were standing somewhere in the desert. His partner was standing on the landmine, and it blew up right in front of my brother. And my brother, he did not come back the same. And of course, his adverse childhood experiences that I know a little bit about, but I don't know much about, including when my mother passed. He was there when she took her last breath. So, with all of that being said, our veterans are struggling, and it's so disheartening, and it hurts so much that our loved ones are going away to save our lives, but yet coming back in a box or coming back mangled mentally. And it's just not men, it's women too. Not only that, the homeless population is many, many veterans. It is my dream to be able to change some laws with the Veteran Administration, because the veteran, for me and the people that I serve, the veterans, they are not doing enough. These are people that put their lives on the line, right? The veterans, for us to save our lives, but yet has a disservice of seeing, of doing all the things that they have to do to save us and save their lives. But then, if they come back alive, they are mentally mangled. And it is up to us to make some noise and fight that, to make some changes in law. You know, many of us may say that it may not happen. Who says it may not happen? You know, if we speak our voices and let our voices and let our stories be known, it's power in that. And it's power in numbers. You know, the Capitol have mental health days where organizations just flood the government center in Atlanta and all across the country. Why do we flood it? To let legislation know, hey, this law needs to be changed, or this needs to be changed, or no, please don't cut that money for mental health, or whatever the case may be. All things mental illness, mental health, mental wellness, right? Suicide prevention. So we do matter. Our voices do matter, and to that same point, sharing my story just last year. Um, I have gone through a divorce, 27-year divorce. It's going on 2 years now. And it became very toxic. And last year, this time, I know there's one person on here that may know my story, no two. Laurel knows. Laurel was one of my support system, and I bless God for Laurel. But last year I took my life. May 1st, last year. I was done. I've been married my entire adult life, right? Been with somebody over 2 decades. And then how it played out just really threw me for a loop. Um, and then not only that, my brother passing, my oldest brother passing. I didn't even get a chance to mourn him immediately after his passing because I was in the midst of the mess of the divorce aftermath, right? Um, and then my grandson, I have a new grandbaby, just turned 3 years old. He is like the sun in my eyes, really, that he just gives me so much joy. And he just lightens up my spirit, in which I'll be going to get him today as soon as I'm done. But my kids had come over to my place because I had my team, I have a team in Afghanistan, and my administrative team, uh, she's been with me since year one. We've been in business for 8 years. And I told her, I said, I'm tired. I cannot do this anymore. And she said, V, no, don't say that. I said, yeah, I'm tired. So she immediately contacted my son on Facebook Messenger. And then it went from Facebook Messenger to Indiana, back to Atlanta, to Minnesota, and to the police kicking my door in. They said when they did found me, I had just a small pulse. And they began to work on me immediately before leaving my place. Um, I woke up 4 days later in ICU on a ventilator. The nurse told me that in her career, she's never seen anybody live the way my body, my organs looked when I came into ICU. And she also said, you know, you have a purpose because you're still living. Not only that, my daughter told me that because she could only call up there. She said I couldn't have visitors. And and I'm sure you all know this, for a suicide attempt, the code is 1013 here in Georgia, right? So she couldn't visit, but she would call. And my daughter told me that they had me tied down because I was fighting. Um, and that the nurse told her that we are going to have to wean her off this ventilator. And when we wean her off, she will be brain dead, or a vegetable, or we really don't expect her to live. So I say all of that to say, you know, I'm not proud of that act. Um, I've asked God to forgive me, and I was praying all while I was doing it. Here's the thing. Many of us that attempt suicide really don't want to die. We just want the pain to end. I saw no way out. I saw no way out. And I knew that if I attempted again, I wouldn't make it out. I didn't plan to attempt again. But the pain was so gut wrenching. The pain made me feel so alone. the pain just knocked me off my square. And because of that, I did that act. So after being placed in the next level of care, coming out of ICU, I was really depressed. And I'm like, God, why did you let me live? Why? Why? I don't see why. And again, I am a woman of God. I'm a woman of faith. There is no shame in what I share. There's no shame in what I've done, because I know who I am and whose I am. And I say that to say that if I didn't have faith and hope, I wouldn't be here. And I'm so grateful, y'all, that I'm here today. Guess what? Not only May is Mental Health Month, May has Mother's Day last weekend, right? Today is my baby's birthday, 27. So I think back and like, wow, my children would have been devastated. May, just for the month of May. I didn't think about all of this last year. All of this is coming while I'm healing and reflecting and journaling and writing and learning and unlearning and using my tools to heal. That I thought about nobody but myself. You know, people say that we're selfish, and that's not true. That's not true. People say that we're weak because we attempt. That's not true. People that attempt are some of the strongest people, because who can rightfully, and not rightfully, but mindfully attempt to take their lives and know the end? And I don't say that, I'm just speaking truth with facts, right? And because of all of that that has happened for me, not to me, I'm a better person. I don't ever, ever want to do that again in my life. That, Lord, let that be it. And how can I make sure that that it? By continuing to do what I'm doing. When I came out of therapy, came out of the hospital last year, I had 3 therapists. I had my psychiatrist. I take 2 pills a day. And if I am not able to sleep, I take 1 pill at night to sleep, which I take as needed. So doing things like this, speaking, teaching, presenting, learning, helping other people get credentials and learning, touring the world, and doing the very same thing, different presentations, but the same connotation in the message. That is what gives me life, is doing just what I'm doing today, is emptying out me into somebody else. Because heal people, you see. If I was still hurting, like last year, I took maybe 6 months off because I couldn't, how can I help somebody else when I myself was broken, and broken so bad that I was hurting? So in order not to bleed on someone else, I had to take the time, step back, and do the heavy lifting and the hard work of healing. And I'm still doing it today. I don't have the 3 therapists today, but I have 2, because now I know what I need to be well. So what I'm learning is what I need to do in order for Vanessa to be okay. And that's key. What do you need to do? And only you know this. What do you need to do to be okay mentally and emotionally? Because we all, in this life, we will have trouble. When trouble knocks at your door, what will you do to maintain your mental and emotional health? Some of the organizations, when my brother first passed, NAMI, you just saw that video. When I came home from my brother's scene of his death, I looked up suicide because I was going to attempt. And NAMI popped up. I never heard of NAMI in my life. And I went to NAMI's groups and their educational sessions. I became an instructor, a teacher, one of their main Georgia teachers, that taught about sharing your story in our own voice, and some of the other programs that I was an instructor in. NAMI, oh my goodness, I refer NAMI to any and everybody. That was my grassroots oxygen right there during that time of need. And then my organization, learning from other organizations, getting mentally and emotionally educated from other organizations, bringing it to my organization and taking it back out. And then I'm also connected to United Survivors, where this organization is um, this is owned by a sibling survivor too. She um, also, her brother passed from suicide. So she too has created online education. She has created different type of events virtually, and she is a pillar in the community where she lives, and I believe it's Colorado. So making sure that we get connected to the right sources, the right people, the right things, the right tools is critical to our mental health and wellness and the maintenance of it. Maya Angelou says it best. Do the best you can until you know better. Then when you know better, do better. And that's real talk. Do the best that we can until you know better. But then when we know better, the expectation is to level up and do better. So with that being said, here's my call to action to sign up for our newsletters. You can get free trainings and educational workshops. There's my website on the screen. Um, Something that I really urge you all to sign up for is the mental health trainings. I train adult, and actually Tuesday I have a training, but this is with um, a major company in the country that has contacted me to train the entire organization that's across the world. I think it's Hitachi Energy, but I'll be training them on adult mental health first aid the 21st. Last last month, no, the 7th, we had community adult mental health first aid training, and then in April we had youth mental health first aid training. So next month I'm planning to have youth mental health first aid training. These are usually with the cost, but my grants, my funds, my partners usually pay for these. So if you're interested in learning more about how to be a um, mental health first aider certified, um, please look me up, contact me. Again, it's free. It'll be free for now, but it's not always free. It's usually about $45 or $50. But again, grant funds, and partnership pays for it. So I would highly recommend a call to action that you join either or both adult mental health first aid, youth mental health first aid. I'm also certified in veterans mental health first aid, first responders, tribal communities, faith-based communities as well. So that is important as well. Using the community resilient model daily with yourself and your children. The community resilient model was just it was just a tad bit of the table that you saw with the lines. That was just a little tip of the iceberg of what the community resilient model training is. I also offer those as well. And I was thinking about doing that today, the community resilient model, but I definitely want to talk more in depth about suicide prevention and awareness. But if you want to get educated around community resilient model, contact us. That's a free course that we offer. Joining our organization, NAMI, American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, any other entities that broaden your mental health knowledge base, get on board with them to learn and to become better and sharper so that you can get out here and teach others as you are learning new information as well. Break the myths, the barriers, and the stigma by talking about the importance of mental health and wellness. Applying what we learn every day, right? Starting with ourselves. I can't teach about breaking the stigma or suicide prevention if I am the stigma, right? So breaking that stigma means that I had to go through several things to get to where I am. Because again, I was a stigma. I knew not what I know now. For me and for others, I've heard that this be the truth. Serving others. Serving others is like oxygen because it helps us to learn that we're not alone and many suffer in silence without support. So when I share my story, and I actually just now, within the last month, 2 months, 3 months, I actually just began to share openly my story from last year. Why? Because I had to heal from it first. I had to make sure I was ready first. I didn't want to trigger myself with sharing too soon. So now I am beginning to share. And guess what? The more I share, the more I learn I'm not alone. There's so many women and men going through toxic divorces. I've heard a man say in my divorce group, that I was in some time ago, that he just wanted to end his life. Another one said that he just wanted to erase the memories. And there is a way you can do that, and that is the electric brain shock treatment, right? That to just erase all of that pain and negativity out of the mind. So that just tells me that I'm not alone. I'm so far from being alone. But our mind, for me, my mind, and then the illness, the mental illness, will make me feel like you're alone. Nobody, you're the only one going through that. Nobody else is going through that. But when I become vulnerable, when I become courageous and resilient and open my mouth to share unapologetically, without shame or blame, that is when I see the movement of my higher power. When I open my mouth, here comes someone else opening their mouth to say, I've never shared this. But because you just said what you said, I have to say this. And I've gotten stories from people, adults, 50, 60, that shared things that around suicides in their families that has been pushed under the rug for decades, decades. So that just lets you know how many people, many families, many generations are still stuck in the stigma of what goes on in this house stays in this house. And we can't be that way today. We have to be able to be vulnerable, not ashamed. In the beginning, years ago, when I was living in Indiana, I was ashamed. I'm like, am I crazy? I mean, do I have to take this medicine every day? For the rest of my life, so on and so forth. Yes, like I said, I was the stigma. It took me time to grow and to heal through that and to not be ashamed because mental illness, that's not who I am. It's a part of me. It's a part of me. And knowing that, it lets me know that, Vanessa, you really have to be very cognizant and mindful of my surroundings, creating boundaries, um, support, lack of support, and so on and so forth. It goes back again to the question, what is it that I need to succeed in life and be well? I have an evaluation that I'm going to ask you to complete that I will put in to the chat box. But my call to action again is to you. Let's champion mental health wellness and resiliency by doing the things, just what I just talked about, and joining organizations where your service work will make a difference. So here's just a few resources. We have the COVID-19 line, GCAL line, which is the Georgia Crisis and Access line. We got CARES line. We have the State of Georgia line, and we also have peer-to-peer line. And for this, we have the Suicide Prevention Lifeline, which is now 988. Just as we have 911 for medical emergencies, we have 988 for suicide prevention. And you know what? I call them when I need to talk, especially if I can't reach one of my support systems. There's the NAMI Georgia Resource Helpline, and then there's information about what we offer as it relates to the different trainers, and then the Trauma Resource Institute, which is the creator of the community resilience model. So this is the end of the presentation, but I'm going to ask questions. And I also want to share with you our website as well. Remember, hope is an anchor. And just as this anchor looks like that with the hooks at the bottom and we're at the top and we are anchoring to pull ourselves up and then going back to pull others up that need us. May's Mental Health Month. How can SDP3 serve you? Questions, 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 comments? Thank you, Belinda. Any questions, any comments? Has anyone had any experience around suicide?
Good morning, Miss V, or Lady V, right? Thank you for sharing. I mean, it's very powerful. Thank you for being so transparent. Yeah, this is a heavy topic. Me personally, I have not had to, not in my family, but I've had friends before that have attempted, and I guess I wasn't really at the time. I definitely didn't know how to deal with it. I had a therapist that kind of helped me, gave me some tips on it. But in a professional setting, I'm learning way more about this, and your presentation is very informative. So
Thank
as far
you.
as questions, I don't really have any questions at the moment, but I just want to thank you for presenting today and continue to do what you do, because
Thank you, Noel.
it's so needed, especially with the younger generation. I noticed that a lot. It's really prevalent and just in their language, and like it's almost like it's an option, you know, like it's
Yes, yes.
it's really scary. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Noel. Thank you so much for your kind words. What again? What I recommend. I'm going to show you all my website as well. These mental health first aid trainings. Oh my goodness! Jump on board again, especially while they're free, and let me train you. And you get certified. You will learn more, and especially in the field and getting this certification or CADC certification, that is just going to add more icing to the cake and more. I would say not icing because that's sweet and good. I would say more tools to our tool belt, right, to help us to be prepared for a crisis because we just never know. And Noel, you mentioned the kids. One of my programs, we have a major grant with Cobb ARPA, um, and that, excuse me, that grant is for our fellows program. And that program is a 6-month program where I am training the youth, high schoolers, and they will get paid to go to NAMI to learn. They're going to walk in my footsteps. They're going to walk in my footsteps. So I'm training them to be me, but be a better me. So they're going to go to NAMI and learn how to share their story. Then they're going to take some training, some of the trainings that I just shared with you. They're going to do the mental health first aid. They're going to be out there doing just what I do, getting paid to do it. And what am I doing and why am I doing it? To help equip them because that's our future. And many of our teens and youth are into substances, getting high. That fentanyl thing, which is taking our babies out. So teaching them the importance of mental health and wellness. And not only that, I was looking for some of my books. I have several books that I want to share with you all as well. Adverse childhood experiences. Adverse childhood experience. Last year to now is when I have really, really dug deep into who I am and where I come from as a kid and how it has impacted me as an adult. Expect that divorce, and I asked God, shake me up. It ain't even about that dude no more. It's about me. I gotta get what's fixed. What do I need to fix up in me? Where is it that I fall short? And he began to show me, took me right back to my childhood with an alcoholic father, with a mother that my mother was a disciplinarian. She wasn't a nurturer. I yearned love. I yearned affection. I yearned touch. My daddy did that, but my daddy was absent because he was drinking. He worked. Now, my daddy worked in the mill. I kept his hand on him too because he'd go to jail. He would go to jail. He would go to the mill drunk, and they would send him to the medical office to rest. I mean, it's just amazing how he has moved in our lives and in our lineage, and then allowing me to break the stigma or break those cycles that has been going on in my family, so it won't continue with my kids and my grandkids. And it has stopped. What I've learned of being a product in my environment, just like the divorce, I I'm the baby of five. All three of my brothers are veterans. Army, he's the Army. My older brother was a Marine, and the brother that's 6 years older than me, Air Force. So all of them are veterans, right? And I say that to say, um, all of them had to have trauma. The oldest one was the one that had attempted several times, and I had to go to his rescue several times in the last like 5 years. Go home and talk to him and talk him off the ledge as well. Um, but after my brother died, I I was like, okay, this just didn't start with me or him. This is in the family somewhere. So I began to do my research, and the only person living that could tell me was my father, because my mother's gone. And my mother, when I would ask her what happened to her as a kid, she would just cry. I will never know, but it had to be traumatic because she would just cry. She never told me. Going to my father, he shared some things with me of how her mother didn't even like her. So I said, it's five of us. She had what, four baby daddies. Because I used to, like, Mom, what happened? Four, what happened? Again, I will never know her story. But because she lacked love, she went looking for love in the wrong places. Guess what? That fell on me because I wasn't getting that love and attention at home like I needed. I went looking for love in the wrong places. Come, come a little closer to today. That divorce showed me the very same thing. Looking for love in all the wrong places. I chose him. That was not, we were not equally yoked. And there was a lot of trauma, emotionally, mentally, verbally, narcissism, right? And I'm looking at myself afterwards. Vanessa, why did you stay in that mess? Why did you stay so long? One, I know I've left 3 times. One, I know I wanted my son to have his daddy. I did not want to be a product of divorce, like my parents was. And then two, I didn't get married to get a divorce, right? And then number three, here's that ace. Number three, that's what I saw as a kid. My parents were divorced when I was 2. I didn't know this until I got grown. And I was looking through papers and the divorce decree and all my mother's stuff, reading about, I think that's when her burial or something, I found the divorce decree, and she was divorced in 72. And I'm like, that's when I was 2. I thought they were married because he was always there. It was toxic as hell, fighting, shooting. My mother shot my father. My father has a bullet in him today that that moves, and they are afraid to take it out because it's too close to his heart. As I sit here today talking to you, I remember in our house, 722 Perry Street, Gary, Indiana, in my window, they have had an argument. In the backyard, my daddy was pulling out the garage, and I heard my mother shooting in the air. I still see and hear that. I still see and hear that. And I'm boohooing crying. Imagine that. You know, not only that, my father got stabbed by somebody. My mother was dealing with a lot of stuff. And I just wanted both my mom and my dad. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. But because I couldn't get it, I became promiscuous. Now, my child was not a product of promiscuity. I wanted her. I wanted a daughter. Long, pretty hair, is what I would say. At 8, I wanted a daughter with long, pretty hair and no husband. Baby, I got that. When I walked across the stage in June of 1988, my daughter was 3 months old. So being promiscuous and not getting the love that I need at home, I went searching for it. I went searching for anything that would love me, or I think, I think or thought loved me. Because again, I had 3 brothers. Every one of them been married at least 5 times. Do you understand? At least 5 times. And I was like, I'd be doggone if that be me, and I don't knock them for that. But here's what I'm saying. Me, the baby, I am the only one that had been married that long in my family, besides my grandparents, that they died in the marriage, right? But I would even talk to my grandma. My grandma was my best friend. Why are you still in your marriage? I'm having this issue. She's like, girl, I need to take care of my kids, make sure my kids is fine. He can do whatever he wants to do. I need to be here for my kids. So I did what I saw, right? Staying in toxic situations because that's what I saw. Never seen anybody being loyal to anybody. Never seen that love, 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 that type of love that I noticed in me that I will give someday to my husband that is for me. And I know he will come one day, but I'm healing right now. So what am I saying? I'm saying we are products of our environment and those adverse childhood experiences. Oh my gosh, y'all just take a look back over your life to see, where did this behavior come from? Where did this thought process come from? Where did this moral or value come from? Because it's irrelevant today. And that's the type of soul searching that I'm doing to change, to unlearn that stuff that no longer serves me and adding that stuff that does. And it's not easy, but I'm determined. I am determined. If God kept me and he saved me for such a time as this, no, Vanessa, you're not about to give up. Nor death, nor divorce, nor devastation. And I am not bragging. I'm bragging on God, not on me. Because his strength is what gives me the movement to flow, to live, to be able to, baby, it feels so good to be able to, without a machine. I don't wish that on nobody being on the ventilator. Nobody. It took me at least 6 weeks to start back talking again. I had to learn how to walk. I had to learn how to talk. I started from square one, and that's where he has me, square one as a child, but on a different level. And I'm grateful. And I'm grateful for each and every one of you. I don't need to know your story, but I just know that uh, for such a time as this, we were placed together for a reason and for a season. And I just would, again, strongly, strongly suggest get on board with the first liners or the first responders, us on the first, on that front line, fighting this thing, because I need people in the trenches. I just came from Cobb County yesterday, day before yesterday, meeting with Cobb County Police that they want to partner with SDP3. Yay, yay. Because now they have access to the schools. I can get to schools now. They have access to the churches. I can get to the churches now. They have access to different organizations. Now I can be that voice, even for the voiceless, unapologetically. You know, people would say, y'all, and I'm getting my site up. People would say, just as I'm sharing this with you all, oh, she's telling her business. It's no secret. My secret will keep me sick. This is what I'm sharing is a part of my mental illness. I gotta let it go. And it's important to share with other people. You gotta let it go. Release it in order to be healed. One of my sayings too is you gotta go back to that place of pain in order to heal. Because if you don't, healing will not take place. I want to share with you my website here. This is my website. I want to show you all where the trainings is for to sign up for trainings. This right here, I was in a documentary with DBHDD. And guess what? I was the wife of a man that took his life. And it was such an honor and such a blessing with the police department. And after we were done, right, many people came up to me. They was like, wow, you really acted that out. I was crying and then laughing at the same time. I said, that's not an act. This is my life. And they said, oh my God. I said, yeah, this really did happen to me. I wasn't the wife. I was the little sister. And he was like, wow, that's why you, in this role, you were so profound. That's why. And that just takes me back to, if I hadn't gone through my pain positions me for purpose. My organization is self-discovery, pain, positioning, and purpose incorporated. We are on a mission to eradicate suicide. And not only that, mental health, mental wellness, bullying, substance use disorder, recovery, suicide prevention, and awareness. And self-discovery and where I am now, discovering who I am in the midst of my pain. And if I continue to stand flat-footed, encouraged and resilient, in the beast mode, refusing to fold, my pain always positioned me for purpose. That is a true fact. Our pain, if we allow it to do what it needs to do, which is to open up that space, pull that root up, and begin to heal. How do we do that? We talk about it. We talk about it. And that's what I do. It's not a secret. It is not a secret of my life, because my life has helped so many others to continue going. So I want to show you, I'm going to give you guys this evaluation form. Here is the event registration if you all want to register for the mental health trainings, mental health first aid trainings, or CRAM, Community Resilience Model, any trainings that we have. This is the event registration. This is where you book me to speak. This is a volunteer form, and here's the evaluation form. Here's the sign up, the newsletter here, leave testimonial, our gallery of photos and donations there. And then I want to show you our merchandise. This is where the books are. So I just, some of the curriculum that I just went over came from this book, The Self-Discovery During Challenging and Uncertain Times. This was taught a lot in COVID. The ACEs book is just not for kids, helping kids manage crisis and kick some ACEs. I teach this to adults because we need to realize that our adverse childhood experiences has everything to do with who we are today. And then we have mental health and diversity, veteran affairs, adversity, alliances. I have here mental health and wellness for the faith-based community. And then I have mental health and wellness for the first responders. So these are the curriculums that I teach on. I'm a multi-award winning author. So here are all the books that I have published through my book company. And these are collaborations, which are called anthologies. So I have Men in Mental Health. I have Mommy in Mental Health. This is a postpartum one. There's No Health Without Mental Health Anthology. This is my brother on the cover of this book. Each book is dedicated to my brother. He has a chapter in it as well, a empty chapter, recognizing his life and his legacy. This is a powerful book with veterans talking about their mental health, their service work to the United States. Powerful book. And then this book right now, this year, my events is taking off the mask. The saga continues. Pre-COVID, I think I shared with you that we were on tour, and one of the tours was taking off the mask. So we're back and taking off the mask because I'm taking off mine, right? Going through what I'm going through and growing through what I'm growing through, taking off my mini mask and learning who I am and healing through that thing. So this is Taking Off the Mask, which is a great, great, great book. This is series 4. And then we have another book here about the voices of mental health. We have series 2, the voices of mental health. And then we have No Silence, No Shame, No Stigma, No Suicide, Pain, Positioning, and Purpose anthology. This is The Valley of Transfiguration, 40 Days with God in My Grief. This is actually a book that was written in 40 days right after my brother passed. So this has a lot of insight on what I went through during that period in time. This is The Face of a Suicide Survival. The Struggle is real, a suicide book. And this is what I teach out of around suicide prevention and awareness. This picture, I was on tour in Baltimore. And all of my events, I always pray beforehand. My higher power told me that Baltimore, Maryland would be different. He said, all of them are going to be good, but Baltimore will be different. And I'm like, what's going to be so different about Baltimore? I began to pray, and then I ended up on the floor praying. And this picture is when I accepted my brother's death. And I think it had been a year, 2 years. I think it had been maybe 2 to 3 years after that. So this picture always takes me back to the floor and to me accepting. I remember the tears I cried. I remember that face. It was so painful. But I accepted his death right then and there. So that is that book. And this one, these are the first books that I've ever published. It's a journal, and it's my life story as well. So that's a little bit about me. And then I have other programs as well that we offer. Um, so yeah, that's a little bit about me and you all.
Self-Discovery Pain, Position, and Purpose Incorporated is a nonprofit 501c3 organization that is on a worldwide mission to spread mental health and bullying awareness and stop suicide by touring the nation and holding mental health conferences, workshops, along with wellness trainings. The Self-Discovery team has a plethora of practical and educational experience that has impacted many lives, and we are available to help you. Contact us today.
All right. What kind of questions, comments you all have? Anything? Can I put, if you have questions, the floor is open for questions. I'm going to get my evaluation and put it in the chat box and ask if you can please complete that for me. But in the meantime, please ask questions.
I don't have any questions, but the information was nice. It was lovely. But what really stood out to me was your story and the emotion and the passion behind every word that you said, behind every sentence that you uttered. Everything that you said was felt deeply
Mhm.
and truly. And I appreciate you sharing that with us, because these are things that aren't often talked about. These are things that, you know, especially within certain communities and special populations, you know, you're told to deal with it, to stuff it down, stuff it down, stuff it down, put it away. Don't talk about that. And as you said earlier, you know, what happens in this house stays in this house.
Mhm.
And those type of things are the things that keep people sick. And so you sharing all of that with us was really what stood out, and really I'm going to take that away, because I felt everything that you were saying. And we just recently got another client that is in that situation, and they are having feelings of hopelessness and suicide. And it stands out to me, because it's like, could this person be Lady Vanessa 30 years ago? You know, and what can we do to change and or to help this person pivot from going down that path of attempting again? You know, what can we learn and do as counselors, as an organization, as a community, as people, to help change and pivot that person from the wrong path to the right path? And sometimes not being able to connect with them and understand where they're coming from is the difference between, you know, success and failure. And so everything that you said was extremely helpful, and I greatly appreciate you sharing your story with us.
Thank you, James. Thank you so much. And if I can just piggyback on that, you know, that client, that's me. I'm that client. That client is me. Um, and I'll tell you, when my brother passed, y'all, my mind, I couldn't think. I couldn't talk. I couldn't hold anything. This is how my hands were. I was on so much medication. They had me on so much medication until I began to lose myself. And I said, I'm not about to lose myself. I just need the pills I need for my depression. Because I'm losing myself. I can't take all of this. I cannot. I felt myself slipping away under all that medication. I think I was taking 8 to 10 pills a day. So I say this to say, James, sitting in your seat and sitting in the seat of a client, I learned how to advocate for myself. Because you know what? Being on all that medication, being able to have a voice, the courage, the that beast in me to speak out and say, no, I can't do all this medicine because give me what I need for my mental health. All of this is no, it has to be a better way. Let me tell you, I had a psychiatrist. They've bucked at me, uh, counselors, because I've learned to speak up unapologetically. I give it respect, but you're gonna respect me too because I'm not a number. I'm a person first. I am not a mental illness first. I am a person, and you will treat me as such. I am not any of the numbers or the names in your medical books up there, and neither am I may be on your list that you need to get out from, hurry and discharge because of insurance or whatever. But I'm not that either. So I, I had several run-ins with several medical professionals simply because you want to do what you want to do to me and expect me not to have a say in it. No, ma'am, no, sir. That's just not in my blood. That's my mama's side coming out of me. Speaking up, she always told me, you're not a rug. Never let anybody run over you. You know what, y'all? I didn't used to talk like this, James. Belinda, I didn't talk like this. You may not believe it, but I'm an introvert. I'm an introvert. I am an introvert. I like to be in a corner, quiet. But God put me to the front, and He's like, "You gotta speak." So I like quietness. Once I'm done with this, I have to retreat and get refilled. But going back to my story, the therapist, a doctor, this doctor told me, if you don't take your medicine, and I told him, well, I'm not taking all that medicine again. Okay, well, my next option is for you to get electric brain shock. I said, oh, no, ma'am, no, ma'am, no, ma'am. I won't be doing that. She said, well, I can't see you again. I said, you know what, doctor? Was it your brother that took his life? Was it your brother? Or have you even had any experience, personal, family, friend experience where somebody took their life? Okay, then, my point exactly. Do not treat me as you would not treat yourself. And the thing of it is I set a standard and a boundary of learning how to advocate for myself. Imagine how many people get the electric brain shock treatment that will say that can't say anything because the doctors say we're just going to give you this, and this, and they go along with it. And that's why a lot of us are maybe minds are not the same. Maybe the mind is better, maybe not. I don't know. But I learned being in mental health, even just last year, y'all, when I was in the hospital for that last attempt, I overheard the nurses outside my door. With 1013, somebody is always in the room with you. Let me tell you how thick the stigma still is. I heard the nurses call themselves whispering outside my door. Oh, she tries to kill herself. Oh, she's crazy. I said, excuse me, nurse, but I do hear you, and I am not crazy. Get the head nurse in here so I can talk to her. And I let them know, look, is it you? I said, do y'all know? Do you even know the struggle that I'm going through right now? Lo and behold, your day will come too. How will you handle that? Do not judge me. Do not talk about me as crazy because I'm not. I have a mental illness. And truth be told, you probably have one too, but you're not talking about it. So please tell your staff before I contact their staff to stop being the stigma and talking about the patients. I've learned, y'all, to fight with my tongue, with advocacy. And I'm also called the voice because I'm not going to shut up. I'm not going to shut up. I'm going to speak for you, me, and anybody else that cannot speak for themselves because we are people first and we deserve a life of love, of living, and legacy, period. And mental wellness. And there's so many people, like, there were group facilitators, counselors treating me indifferent. I had a conversation with them as well. I had to file a complaint. I'm not here to play with it, and people are in these positions. I'm going to say this, y'all. People are in these positions, the ones that we are sitting to become in, those that we are in, the medical positions, therapists, counselors, and they are the stigma. They are the stigma. not believing or not, I won't say not believing, but not acting in the way of understanding person-centered. The client or the patient is a person. This is a human. This is a human. This is a human. Yeah, we may have a chemical imbalance. Yep, we do. But there's medication for that. And I take my 2 pills every day. So what am I saying? I'm saying a lot of people, because they haven't gone through the trenches of some just little stuff that I've been through, they don't get it. It don't connect. The only thing connects with them is the book knowledge, right? And then maybe somebody that comes in with the lived experience. Here's my charge to you. Sitting in your seat as a client, going in with empathy, not going in judgmental, not going in, going in gentle, not necessarily what happened to you, but, what has gone on in your childhood. That's my first question that I'm learning now to say, because I am learning that the adverse childhood experience is so connected to who we are today. It blows my mind. And going in as a way of now, do you have a plan to kill yourself? To kill anybody else? Yes, if you say, what's your plan? Okay. And why do you have that plan? Get in the heart. It's all love. Coming in with love is what I'm saying. With love, because we know where we are today, but we don't know where we're going to be tomorrow, because it could be us in the seats, right? It can be us in the seats. So going in, number one, with love and compassion is going to shut everything down. And when you 100% and you are pure in that action and in that movement, we feel it. I feel the care that Belinda may say to me, or she may come by, and because she and I work at a facility, well, not work, but I'm contracted. I contract with a facility that she is actually a part of. And thank you, Miss Belinda. We pass each other and we help each other on different projects and things like that. So that love, you can feel that energy, right? And when we can feel that energy and being hopeless, that's almost half the battle, knowing that I got somebody that really cares for me. And then after that, how can I help you? How can I help you? How can I help you get back to where it is that you want to be? And as a matter of fact, what's your dreams? What's your desires? What is it that you want to do with yourself? Asking them questions. And what are you doing? You shaking up some hope. You shaking up hope. It's like reverse psychology. What is it that you want to do? Who is it or what is it that you love or gives you joy when you just think about it? Who is it or what is it that gives you that that makes you want to live a little while longer? For me, it's my grandbaby. When you begin to shake that hope up and we begin to realize, and oh yeah, we'll be crying by then. Because again, we really don't want to die. We just want the pain to end. I don't know if you all heard of Kevin Hines. Write this down. Look Kevin up. That's my guy. That's my boy. And a partner of mine. And I want to try to bring him to some of my events. Kevin Hines. Kevin Hines. It's Kevin, Hines. Look Kevin up. Kevin Hines jumped off of the bridge in California. He was one of the very, very few, y'all, that lived. This is what Kevin said. Kevin, number one, had a tumultuous child in the foster care system, bounced around here, there, everywhere. He now has mental illness. I can't think it's bipolar. I'm not sure what it is. Let me let this person. I'm not sure which mental illness, but he still has his moments, just as I do. But he knows how to pull back. Okay, he jumped off the bridge because the pain that he was in. He walked on the bridge first, booing and crying. And the bridge was full of people, y'all. That bridge was full of people. I cannot think of the name of the bridge, but if I pull it up, I can find it. But it's the brook. No, it's the biggest bridge in California that people jump off to kill themselves. Now they put a gate up. They put a gate up. So people that keep Golden Gate, yes, ma'am. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Laura. The Golden Gate Bridge. There's a gate up there now. And Kevin is a part of the reason why it's up there. So he went to legislation. So this is what I mean. When we go to the people and let them know, hey, this has to change. I am a testament of what could have happened. Kevin said, with his adverse childhood experiences, mental illness, he was walking on the bridge, many people booing and crying. He said nobody stopped to just say, hey, why are you crying? Hey, you okay? He said nobody. But a lady did stop and asked him to take a picture of her family while he's in this type of state. He took the picture. After the picture was taken, he jumped midway to jump before he hit the water. He said he made the biggest mistake. He did not want to die. And broke up bones in his body. And he lived. It's a very few that live to that jump. Why am I saying that? Because the power of our story is powerful, y'all. Just as I don't know if that was James or someone just was talking, the gentleman that was just talking. We got to share our stories without shame. You know, I am not ashamed. Do I feel good about my act? I don't. I don't feel good about it at all. I don't. But it is what it is. Did I have to apologize to my kids and my family? I did. And most importantly, apologize to myself and forgive myself and to my higher power. After that's done, nothing else and nobody else matters. It's time for me to go out here and go to work and do the very things that he kept me to do for such a time as this. If he didn't keep me, y'all, I wouldn't be able to be in this group today to share what James just said was so powerful. And I just bless God for that. I'm done. Questions, comments? Please fill out the evaluation, please. Please. That is how we get our funding to do the free trainings for you all. What are you all taking away from today? Today's James, you definitely made a powerful statement of what you're taking away. What are you taking away from today with me being that patient in your seat? And then one more thing, James, when we can't reach somebody, you call somebody in that can. You can call a Lady V in. Because there is one thing, I have an anointing, and I promise I don't brag. I don't brag on myself. I can't. But there is a powerful anointing on my life, how I can reach people. And I believe it's because I've been in the trenches. I've been there. I've done that. And not only done it, written books about it. So when I can't reach a person, I'm going to need to call a Laurel or Belinda or Noel or somebody else in that can. Because just because I can't reach a person, that is not the end. Because this person's life is at stake. And one life taken is one life too many. So think of other organizations that they can come in to reach that person that have shared lived experiences that can impact and change the mind of a person that's suicidal and have those suicidal thoughts and ideations.
That's actually the first thing I'm going to do Monday morning. I'm going to say,
Okay.
hey, I met this wonderful lady over the weekend. I think you should look her up. I think you should check out her website, check out her videos, and see if anything resonates because the similarities are striking. I mean, very, very similar. I mean,
Wow.
introverted personality, highly intelligent, suffering from mental health issues, not understanding where they're stemming from, not understanding that they're there and how they interact with each other. I mean, very striking similarities. And I mean, that's the first thing that I'm going to do Monday morning is, hey, I came across this wonderful resource and I think you should take a look. You know, I don't want to force this on you, you know, but I think that if you investigate this and if you see anything that, you find interesting, let me know. Because the first thing we have to do is find you, in my opinion. First thing we have to do is find you because you are lost at sea in this sea of hopelessness. And if you see a light or a ship coming, you begin to have hope. And that's the first thing that we can give you.
Amen. That's powerful right there. And James, I put my website and my phone number in there for everybody. James, even if she's at your seat, you can call me. And as a matter of fact, that's the office number. Let me give y'all my personal cell too. Just don't give my personal cell to the clients. You can always
Yes,
give
ma'am.
that's the first number is my Google, the office number, but I'm putting my personal cell in here for you to call, for you guys to get straight to me. If she's at your desk Monday, James, you can call me. You can call me. And I would love to speak with that individual.
Yes, ma'am. Will do. Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. And
And Lady
anybody
D,
else?
I just wanted to say, a good friend of mine, actually, her son passed away from suicide a few years ago. And a lot of it was connected. I mean, I'm sure there was all kinds of reasons, but a lot of it was connected to his addiction and his inability to overcome it. So, I mean, if you don't mind, I would love to give your information to her and see if she could possibly get in touch with you, because I know she's trying to find ways to get involved, to really speak out on the topic so she can turn her pain into something more, she wants to turn her pain into purpose and
I
be
would
able to
love that.
educate. So,
I would love
okay.
that. Y'all don't have to ask. Y'all don't have to ask. Here's what I tell everybody. I'm here to be of service. I'm blessed to be a blessing. Here's my thing that I ask of you. Vet the people out first, because if they're serious about wanting to do it, they're going to use that information, right? But if they're just saying, hey, no, I need you to vet them out first, before referring them to me, simply because I'm all about that business. I am all about the saving lives and helping the lives of others. I don't have tolerance for anything else. I'm allergic to anything else. Seriously, because I know my life and my recovery is at stake. So use the numbers. Y'all don't have to ask. My website, get registered for these trainings, so you can get additional certifications so that you can be a more powerful and potent um, citizen and um, person in the world that helps to break that stigma. So yeah, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm here for you. I'm here. If you all can please complete the evaluation. Thank you, Michelle. I would greatly appreciate it. Anything else, y'all? Anything else? I hope you all are leaving more educated around mental illness, suicide prevention, and how we can, stop suicides. And once in our minds that we're going to take our lives, we mean it. You know, uh, it's just not I'm a thought. But then there's also some people have suicide ideations, and they think about that all the time. You know, that they want to die by suicide, but they don't act on it. So I don't know if you all have seen people like that. I have seen people that have the ideations but don't want to kill themselves. So we have to go another direction with counseling and therapy and coaching and mentoring with that individual. So yeah, thank you, Noel. Thank you for completing the evaluation. Can a couple of people before we end, we are almost at the end, please share with me your call to action and what you will do to Noel, you shared. James, you shared. Thank you so much. James, please make sure you complete the evaluation, sir. Tony, Daryl, Lanika, Sabrina, Michelle, both of the Michelles, even you, Laura, please complete the evaluation. But what are you taking away? What are you taking away from this presenter that has such painful lived experiences, but allowed and allowing and learning to allow my pain to position me for purpose, which results in my self-discovery. Yep, being aware of the signs. Yep. Anybody else? What are you taking away? Laura's giving extra points for those answers.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
And just to highlight a few things, she talked about the ACE trauma inventory. She talked about person-centered. She talked about seeing people beyond a diagnosis. She hit so many high points about the things that really relate to the field and that you're going to encounter day in and day out when you're dealing with addiction, because these things go hand in hand. Wanting to numb,
I am going to educate myself and wait and participate and involve myself in situations where I can gather experience to learn and to be able to use those skills and those tools of spotting it before it happens, because all those signs can be there and that is something to investigate. But sometimes even on the other side, all those signs cannot be there and the same thing can still happen. To me, that's almost another red flag, is when somebody always says they're fine. Oh, I'm fine. Everything is great. Everything is wonderful. This is fantastic. I just went to dinner with my family. I just took the dog on a 3-mile hike. Everything is fantastic. And then you don't hear from them the entire weekend. And then you find out that nobody else has heard from them. So I'm going to educate myself on all of those things and pay as much attention as possible so I can see it, catch it, check it, and change it before something happens.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I'm going to also put my newsletter link in the chat box for you to sign up. And now, Laurel, thank you so much for allowing me to, wow, this is, I'm just in awe. I am in awe simply because last year she was walking with me very closely last year. Before the event, before that experience happened, and I was even sharing with her, that's what I felt, right? I felt like, just taking myself out. And I think that was the last thing I left with her. And days later, when I got my phone back, when I got home, I had calls from her asking, hey, I am checking on you. I mean, I got calls, I had emails. She was calling to check on me because of what I had last said when she and I talked. And I went forward with it. And she said, when I got well and was able to talk, when I got home, I called her and talked to her. She said, I had a feeling. She said, I had a feeling that you had did it. So I say that to say, having support. Laurel has been one of my big supporters and sister in this fight and been walking with me to hold me up. Always having somebody, y'all. Always having somebody that can help you through it. Because so many people don't have anybody. And that's where that hopelessness comes from. That's where I have no reason to live comes from. So, Laurel, I thank you. I thank you. And it was no accident. That's why my mind is blown that last year this time, and then now, look, has me on a platform. I'm done, y'all. Y'all enjoy y'all weekend. I'm done.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. But Lady V, I want to take this opportunity to really thank you for spending your Saturday morning with us and sharing your story and what God is definitely doing in your life. I'm going to reach out to you as well to see. I'm not new to the recovery field, but I'm new to pursuing my certification. And I really don't know where God wants me to go, but you have definitely opened my eyes to this field as well as a avenue of possibilities for me. So I just want to thank you for that. And also, you mentioned something too that's very close to me, spending time with the grands. So enjoy your afternoon with your grands and
Oh, I am.
yes. So thanks again.
You're
Thank you very much.
welcome. Thank
All
you.
right.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I look forward to hearing from you. I look forward to hearing from you.
Okay.
Y'all, that's it. Y'all enjoy your weekend. Laurel, it's back to you.
Thank you all so much for being here this morning. Thank you so much, Vanessa. Such a pleasure always. And I will see you all next week. Have a great one.